All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. We have got sprint qualifying today. Lots to look forward to. Of course, we had a surprise yesterday, Max Verstappen not getting pole position, and we had Charles Leclerc in first place, which is great to see. And the field was very, very close together. So I am definitely looking forward to getting some more action going on in today's session. So we have the usual sprint shootout format with 12 minutes, 10 minutes, and 8 minutes respectively for each qualifying session. And it will be, well, yeah, very, very exciting. It is 30 degrees in Texas today. Do you think that will have an effect on the tyres? I definitely think it will. So yesterday we had track temperatures up at 42 degrees, 41 degrees, and today they are down at 36 degrees. So it's quite as simple as that. Lower track temperature, less overheating issues for the drivers. That means they can push harder in the first sector and also still have confidence that their tyres will not have overheated as much as they did yesterday by the time they get to the third sector, which is very critical, and it just adds a little bit of a safety margin, a little bit of a buffer for the drivers. They don't have to worry too much about their tires overheating by the time they reach the end of their lap. And this is what we saw quite often happen. In fact, we saw Max Verstappen lose his fastest lap time because exceeding track limits at turn number 19. At that point, your tires are so hot, and you have took a significant amount of life out of them because they are so hot. You tend to lose the grip. You don't have the same grip that you did at the start of the lap. So going through turn number 19, you exceed track limits a little bit, and you get your lap time deleted. I think the same thing happened to Lando Norris as well. So it's been track limits, big issue, and then that's mainly been caused by the fact that overheating tires are pretty difficult to manage. So decrease in track temperature is definitely going to play a big role and help out the drivers in their consistency in these qualifying sessions. We've got all the drivers now. We are 12 minutes away from qualifying starting, and the drivers now just approaching their pit garages, and all the fans just taking photos with them, and the drivers going in, making their way towards the car, and we'll be getting ready for qualifying shortly. All right. So, of course, we had qualifying yesterday. I will read out the stand. Well, I'm not going to read out every single standing, but just a couple of key stand-up points. We had both Aston Martins getting knocked out in 17th and 19th. We had Alpines up there in 7th and 8th, which is a very good bounce back for them. Of course, we had Lando Norris up in 2nd position, Oscar Piastri down in 15th position, which is quite a big gap between the two teammates. Usually they are quite close together, so it'll be interesting to see, was that a mistake from Oscar Piastri? Will he be able to recover? And of course, the big surprise, Max Verstappen not getting pole position. Will that happen again? Will the cooler temperatures favour Red Bull? Will they favour Ferrari? We are yet to find out, and we'll find out in 11 minutes' time. All right. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, the Haas cars. They brought a series of upgrades in for this weekend, a pretty big package of upgrades. Some were even saying this is essentially a B-spec car for the Haas because they brought so many different upgrades. And here they are in 14th and 16th position, which isn't great, to be honest. So we'll see how that goes, and can they recover? Can they not? Are they going to be stuck there in the sort of Q2 elimination range? We are yet to find out. All right. Also, just looking through the data that has been released by the F1, the F1 data analysts. Effectively, according to the qualifying analysis, Mercedes is theoretically the fastest car in Austin over the course of one lap. That's if you take into account George Russell and Lewis Hamilton's sector times put together. But of course, this isn't the most accurate thing in the world because they can have different setups. So you can have George Russell's straight line speed and Lewis Hamilton's speed through the corners, which would be slightly unfair, of course, if their setups are different. So Mercedes, according to the data, are the fastest, but obviously that has to be taken with a pinch of salt. Then it's Ferrari, then Red Bull, then McLaren. But if you do the race pace simulation that they did do in the first practice session, then Red Bull are by far quicker than everyone else. So it's not too unexpected there. Red Bull quicker in race conditions. And I think that is what Red Bull may have done. Like, they might have set their car up a little bit more for race conditions, making sure those tires don't wear out too much. Whereas a couple of the other teams may have gone for a good qualifying a good qualifying setup, and that means they start higher up and then they also end higher up. So because the thing is, around Kota, we've had spectacular races, lots of action going on, so many on-track overtakes, but the only winners that we have had here in Formula One have been drivers that have started on the front row. So qualifying here, even though there is all sorts of action going on throughout the entire race, it's still very, very critical because you start at the front and then, but according to the stats, you also end at the front. So teams may have chosen a slightly more qualifying oriented setup to try and maximize their chances of potentially going on and scoring some points at this weekend. What about Lawson now? Will he ever be racing? And Liam Lawson is currently now back into the reserve driver, third driver role at AlphaTauri. He'll be doing test sessions, potentially some practice sessions, but most likely he will be back in the factory driving on the simulator and getting that all-important data for the team. As of, is he going to get a chance to be racing again? Now, of course, there are quite a bit of rumours about Perez potentially losing his seat at Red Bull, and then if Red Bull were to take another driver, who would they take? Would they take Daniel Ricciardo? I would hazard a guess that they would take Daniel Ricciardo, and of course, if Daniel Ricciardo does go to Red Bull, then there is a space left at AlphaTauri, and Liam Lawson would be a perfect fit. Of course, he's had 4 or 5 races now with the team. He's done a fantastic job at just showing how quick he is, how quick he can just jump into a car, get adapted into it, and deliver some solid performances. So if there was anyone that would take the AlphaTauri seat, if it were to open up, it would definitely be Liam Lawson, who is first in line. Yeah. All right, the drivers now just getting into their cars, putting on their gloves, and we are going racing. Well, we're going qualifying. We'll be going racing in a couple of hours' time after this sprint qualifying session. All right, hello OG Ninja, nice to see everyone in chat. Also, guys, if you are enjoying the stream, be sure to hit the like button. It just helps out the channel, kind of kickstarts the live stream a little bit, and very much do appreciate all of the support. Okie dokes. So let's see, what else have we got in store for us today? Of course, yes, the Alpine bounce back. They've had a very good qualifying in yesterday. Can that form continue? Can they continue to perform in the Q3 and potentially, go and score some solid points this weekend? Because Alpine, they've kind of been on the back foot. They started off the season reasonably well, but then after that, they have kind of just fell off a little bit and not been able to keep up with the rest of the grid in terms of development. So they have bounced back a little bit. Maybe that might be due to them just nailing the setup. They got the setup absolutely perfect compared to the other teams, meaning that they, of course, have ended up ahead of them. But I think another role is that Alpine have just, they've worked away at their issues, and they've obviously went and found out where their issues were, what was hampering them, and then gone and fixed them. So solid job from the Alpine team. We'll see if they can continue with their good run of form. Hope Ferrari doesn't screw Leclerc tomorrow. I just need to see him get a proper pole win for once. Well, the odds are in his favour. The drivers that have gone on to win this race have only started on the front row, but of course we do have a very dominant Max Verstappen starting in 5th position. QUALI, it is qualifying for the sprint race. It's technically called the sprint shootout, but I'm not gonna lie, I think most people just call it sprint QUALI, so that's why it is. Yeah, that's what the stream's called. All right. it's got to be tough when there's only a total of 20 slots racing driver in the entire world. Yeah. I mean, these drivers come from, well, I guess I'd say most of the drivers are from Europe, but nevertheless, like, it is quite incredible how there are only 20 slots, and any sort of mistake, even like a string of, say, if you're at Red Bull, a string of maybe five, six, seven bad races, and you could be very much on, the next driver to just get dropped out of Formula One and never look back. We've seen it quite often happen. Brendan Hartley, Sebastian Buemi, they've all got into Formula One. They've done decent performances, nothing exceptional. And then the F1 teams are just like, see you later, we're moving on to the next driver. So it is a very tough sport. But, when you're at the pinnacle of motorsport in the fastest cars in the world, it's kind of, it comes with a job. So, yeah, tough job, but these drivers are absolutely exceptional. Also, the wind has picked up from yesterday. Yesterday we had a pretty small wind speed. I don't know. I don't know. Kind of phrased my sentence wrong there, but yeah. Yesterday we had 3-4 kilometers per hour winds. Today we have got 12.6 kilometer per hour winds, and that is a very nice tailwind going down the back straight, and a very nice headwind going through the first sector of S's. So I suspect we're going to see a lap time significantly quicker than we saw yesterday. So just as a reference, Charles Leclerc's fastest lap time yesterday was a 1:34.8, and today we have, 5-degree lower track temperature, and we also have a 14 kilometer per hour wind in the perfect direction for the drivers to get a nice tailwind down the straights and a headwind through the corners. So watch out for that. Watch out for the lap time. So we have 20 corners, of course, at this COTA circuit. Quite a few elevation changes as the drivers go up the hill into turn number 1, then down the hill at turn number 10. There is a whole nice, bit of a roller coaster, as Lando Norris described it a couple of years ago. So we do have the sprint shootout now for round number 19 of 20 on the Formula One calendar this year. Oh no, not 19 of 20, 19 of 23. Okie dokes. So we have qualifying now starting in 2 minutes time. I'm just going to get rid of this. Let's get some of the information up here. Okie dokes. I guess we can also have the pressure. Oh no, wrong way. We can also have what the pressure is. Not exactly important, but we might as well have it on the screen, because why not? Actually, no, let's just get rid of it. So there we go. Right, let's just make that slightly bigger. Okie dokes. So qualifying now starting shortly. 12 minutes for the first session, 10 minutes for the second session, and then we will have 8 minutes for the final session. Yeah, all your dad owns a lot of money. That is that's a good point. Of course, we had Nikita Mazepin driving the Haas because his dad sponsored Haas for a while. We have, of course, Lance Stroll driving the Aston Martin because Lance Stroll's dad owns a pretty big portion of Aston Martin. And yeah. All right, track is clear now. I didn't know why it said safety car before, but yeah. All right. It's pretty amazing that the USA haven't produced a good F1 driver since Mario Andretti, and he's Italian. Yeah, I mean, Andretti's thinking of joining Formula One, in fact. So if he can join Formula One in the next couple of years, then that would be fantastic. So anyway, it is now a green light at the end of the pit lane. And my stream, by the looks of it, is slightly delayed. So I'm just going to delay the data by a couple of seconds here. But no one coming out on track as of now. Yeah, there we go. All right, time's just jumped up again. I wish Scott Speed did it more just because of his name. I mean, yeah, if Scott Speed got into Formula One, that would, it would fit his name very perfectly. Yeah. Don't know exactly what else to add to that, but it would definitely fit fit him. Right, I've got that synced up with my stream now, and we have got the Mercedes coming out of the garage. First driver out onto the circuit, and it looks like a little bit strange here. Everyone's now coming out behind the Mercedes car, but I think the circuit. Oh, actually, yeah, this is quite important. None, and of course, we haven't had a practice session yet, so that means the circuit is going to be very, very green indeed, which just means that we're going to have a whole lot of track evolution. All of the drivers coming out on medium tires. I think that might be dictated by regulation. Yeah, also, I'm going to have a quick drink of water and then I will get back to commentating. Oh, yeah, so the mandatory tyres. So in Quali 1 and in Quali 2, the medium tyres are mandatory. And then in Quali 3, we have the soft tyres are mandatory. So it should be the hards. I'm not sure exactly why. It might be because Pirelli only gave everyone one set of hard tyres. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, it's for some reason they're using the mediums. So I'll try and find something out about that, but I'm not particularly sure why. All right. Also, guys, if you are watching from America or America or the USA, whatever you want to call it, and you're tuning into the stream because usually this is how it happens. You know, if there's a race in, say, Malaysia, there'll be a lot more Malaysian people watching the stream. So if you are enjoying the commentary, then be sure to subscribe because, of course, there is the race in Vegas happening in a couple of weeks' time. So hopefully you can tune in to that stream as well. All right. Anyone here from Scotland? Well, I've got Scotch in my coffee. Does that count? I think that's pretty fitting. All right, 9 minutes left on the clock. We've got a couple of drivers out in the field. Hamilton is the first driver who's to finish his out lap. He will be starting his flying lap just now. And we've got a couple of drivers now just queued up in the pit lane trying to nail their find the optimal clutch position because, of course, you've got to take into account you have the sprint race happening and the drivers need to find the clutch position so they can actually get a good start. So they're doing that in the pit lane right now. But we've got Hamilton on a flying lap now on a set of medium tyres making his way through the first sector. We haven't got representative lap times for the mediums, but we'll find out now what times are, by how many tenths of a second is the medium tyre slower compared to the softs. We know the fastest lap times that everyone else did on soft tyres, so we'll be able to compare. What is the significance of the sprints? Does it impact the points of the drivers? Yes. So we have 8 points for the driver in first position, 7 points for the driver in second, 6 points for the driver in third, and that's kind of just the way it goes. So it goes like that all the way down into 8th position, with the 8th position driver getting 1 point. So it does impact the points, and the qualifying session for the sprint race is happening right now. We've got Lewis Hamilton on a hot lap, getting slightly blocked there by, a little bit of dirty air from Fernando Alonso. I mean, Hamilton won't be happy about that, but also there's not really much he could do to complain. Alonso didn't really have anywhere else to go. Hamilton now making his way through the third sector. The medium tyres holding up nicely, not as prone to overheating as the soft tyres, of course, because the medium tyres just aren't going as fast, which means there isn't as much load, which means there isn't as much temperature. But Hamilton making his way through turn number 19. Now, can he stay within track limits? Yes, he does. He stays within track limits very nicely. And there is a whole lot of dust being kicked up as he goes over the curb. So the circuit very green, and we will see the time start to tumble. So the first lap by Lewis Hamilton, 136.4. And then we have a couple more drivers now coming across the line. Nico Hulkenberg crosses line of 136.0, so 6 tenths behind the lap time set by Hamilton. Kevin Magnussen, next driver along, he is 3 tenths behind his teammate with a 137.3. Valtteri Bottas, another 137.3. So, we're seeing here at least the medium tyres, according to raw pace and a very not clean track. We are getting lap times around about 2 to 3 seconds slower on a hot lap. All right, Lando Norris just following on board with him. Here he comes out the final corner, stays within track limits on 19, stays within track limits on 20. Across the line now, DRS activated, and it's a 136.73 tenths behind Lewis Hamilton. And yesterday, of course, Norris outqualified Lewis Hamilton, had a very good quali lap indeed. According to the data, the Mercedes was the faster car, but Lando Norris really hooked that lap together and put himself up into second place behind Leclerc. And Leclerc now going up into first place after crossing the line. He goes a tenth quicker than Lewis Hamilton. Max Verstappen now, he is starting his flying lap. We got Logan Sargent in 8th position and Alex Albon having a brilliant lap here up in 4th place. So both Williams getting eliminated in yesterday's Q1 session. Alex Albon looking to make some amends here, currently up in 5th place. And we've got Carlos Sainz. Wow. Look at this. Carlos Sainz is only 20 milliseconds behind his teammate Charles Leclerc, and he is in fact faster than him in the first sector. But Verstappen quickly takes away that fastest first sector from Carlos Sainz. But nevertheless, Carlos Sainz only 20 milliseconds behind Charles Leclerc, which is great to see. And hopefully we can see a little bit more competition in between the two Ferrari teammates compared to what we saw yesterday. So let's follow Max Verstappen on board on his lap. Then he's coming down the back straight, getting a little bit of a slipstream there off Lando Norris, which is very beneficial for him. And the tailwind, of course, helping him down the straight 320 kilometers an hour as he hits the brakes going into turn number 12. Hits that apex very nicely within track limits, and now just picking the most optimal line through turn number 13 and 14. It's very, very tricky. There's not too many reference points around there, but Verstappen hooks the car around nicely, comes into turn number 16, 17 and 18, a triple right-hander, lots of loading on the front left tyre, and here he comes now into 19, where he got his lap time deleted yesterday, onto the brakes, hits the apex, and firmly within track limits on this occasion, and here he comes now out of the final corner. Max Verstappen comes across the line, 3 purple sectors, and it is a 135.9 from Max Verstappen. He goes 3 tenths ahead of Charles Leclerc, which is a nice solid advantage for the Red Bull, at least on the medium tyres. We'll see what happens when the drivers switch onto the softs, but as of now, on the medium tyres, Max Verstappen is 3 tenths quicker than the Ferrari. Okie dokes. So everyone has set their first qualifying laps, and look at this, not a single lap time that has been deleted. Everyone has set a lap time. Oscar Piastri, though, is setting another one. Is he going on a double? Oscar Piastri looks like he went for a hot lap, cool lap, and then is doing a second hot lap. George Russell having a couple of radio issues. He's getting the inter-team radio between the engineers, but he's not actually hearing the race engineer. A little bit of a strange issue there. Haven't heard that one for a while. So yeah, all right. Let's read this chat. I've been missing. It's been moving quite quickly, and I haven't particularly been paying attention. Checo is going to be the most. It's going to be the new tyre. Bono, my race is gone. Yeah. Well, I mean, Checo down in 5th position. He is 3.5 tenths behind Max Verstappen, which isn't that big of a margin. But if you look at that 3.5 tenths, there is Leclerc, Sainz, Russell, who are faster than him and are in a slower car. So, yeah, Sergio Perez still does need to pick up the pace a little bit. And just looking at the lap times of the drivers who are in the elimination zone, we have Bottas, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Stroll, and Sargent. Sargent to be expected. Alex Albon doing a good job up in 12th position after his first lap. So it looks like we're going to have a second runs of Q1 and we're going to get the drivers going again. And we'll see how that works out for them. Also, guys, if you are enjoying the stream, be sure to hit the like button. It definitely does help out the channel. How many people have we got watching? We've got 800 people watching. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And yeah, if you're enjoying the coverage, then be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Okie dokie. All right. We have now 1 minute and 40 seconds left on the clock. So the drivers now making their way around the third sector. Well, most of them making their way around the third sector, looking to get that lap in nice and early, not getting caught up like Fernando Alonso did yesterday. Alonso got caught up, had to start his lap too close to the driver ahead of him, and had to, didn't have an optimal tyre warm up. So here comes now Fernando Alonso out the final corner. Significant gap between himself and Stroll, and he's got the tyre warm up ideally perfect. Here comes Alex Albon. All right, we've got a whole lot of drivers on their final Q1 laps, apologies. But we have got Carlos Sainz, who is purple through the first couple of mini sectors, doesn't improve on the whole in the first sector, but nevertheless a very quick first sector from him. Coming through turn number 11 now. What can he do? Just a very nice exit there for Carlos Sainz. Nothing else to speak of, to be honest. And this is very nice. So, look at this. Charles Leclerc, purple in the middle sector from Charles Leclerc. That is very nice indeed. Let's see if he can match Max Verstappen's time. There's a whole bunch of traffic ahead of him. George Russell gets out the way nicely. But not ideal there for the Ferrari driver. As he comes out the final corner across the line, he does improve, but he is 2 milliseconds behind Max Verstappen. That is how close the gap is between the two teams. Of course, Leclerc did have slightly better track conditions, but nevertheless, it is very, very close between the two teams. And we have got Charles Leclerc only 2 milliseconds behind Max Verstappen. Carlos Sainz across the line, he improves, but once again, he is 0.3 behind his teammate. So still a pretty big gap there between Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc. And also, I would like to point out, if Verstappen didn't get his lap time deleted yesterday, he would have been 5 milliseconds ahead of Leclerc, and now this time Leclerc's 2 milliseconds behind him. So it's so close, the gaps between these two drivers, and Leclerc and Ferrari looking to give Red Bull a little bit of a run for their money. Of course, this is currently qualifying. We'll see what actually happens in the race. And there's been an incident noted as well that George Russell and Charles Leclerc have been, Russell slightly blocked Charles Leclerc as he was going through the corners. So we could see maybe a penalty. I'm not particularly sure. But that will be looked into. All right, Valtteri Bottas crosses the line, does not make it out of Q1. And we've got both of the Astons come across the line. And we've got Alonso up in 7th, Lance Stroll in 12th, and Ricciardo across the line into 15th, just on the cusp of the elimination zone now. Can he secure his place into Q2, or will he be eliminated? We've got George Russell next across the line. He improves but stays in 5th position. Lewis Hamilton, he also improves but stays in 9th position. Pierre Gasly's got a lap time deleted for exceeding track limits at turn number 19. He will get dropped down the order a little bit, but his personal best lap time and his deleted lap time were basically the same time, so he's staying in 13th position. And we've got Yuki Tsunoda. He is coming into the pit lane. So that is it. Everyone has completed their runs of Q1. And the drivers eliminated are Nico Hulkenberg, Kevin Magnussen, Valtteri Bottas, Yuki Tsunoda, and Logan Sargent. So well done for the Alpines for... Oh my God, yeah, Charles Leclerc got significantly blocked there by George Russell. So... I mean, if it wasn't for that, Leclerc would have been faster than Verstappen. So, But both Aston Martins and Alex Albon getting their way out of Q1 this week. This qualifying session, I don't know exactly what to call it, but today, compared to when they didn't yesterday, which is great to see. So they've obviously learned something, changed some things about the car that they are allowed to change. And, Right, I'm going to have a quick drink of water and then we'll be back for Q2 in a matter of minutes now. Apologies for that noise. Right. Albon up into P3. I have no idea how that happened. I didn't get on board of his lap. I didn't see anything. And my man Alex Albon has just popped himself up into third position in a Williams. I have no clue how he has done that. If the Williams is even representative of that pace, I mean, he must have put in an absolutely solid lap. But I mean, still, like, that is ridiculous. How has he done that? I mean, we'll see if it continues into Q2, but a solid lap from Alex Albon. And just looking at the qualifying simulation data, it says that the Williams is like a second slower than the rest of the field. So with Alex Albon being 2 tenths behind Max Verstappen, that is an extremely good lap. And Alex Albon is he's definitely improving, doing the Williams team some. I wouldn't say Alex Albon is a particularly experienced driver, but he's definitely a driver who's like hardworking. He's going to go help the team out and try and give some good information and good feedback to the engineers to try and develop the car in the best way possible, the best direction, to make the car more drivable, so he's more confident in the car to make it quicker. And yeah, Alex Albon definitely the leader in the Williams team. Of course, Logan Sargent. It is his rookie season, but he is in 20th position practically every qualifying session. So maybe maybe it continues. Maybe he stays in. Yeah, I'm not particularly sure what's going to happen to Logan Sargent. He does have a contract for next year, I think, but is he deserving of that contract? Is someone else deserving of that contract? That Williams seat, of course, as we were saying before, there's only 20 drivers in Formula One. So, all right. Lewis Hamilton getting stuck behind, I think it was one of the Alpha Tauris. I'm not sure exactly which driver it was, but it was Yuki Tsunoda. And Hamilton just touching the rear of Yuki Tsunoda's car and getting a little bit of damage there by the looks of it. So not ideal, but we'll wait and see what happens there. There was once again an incident. I think this was happening on the slowdown lap back into the pits. I don't know why they would have, why he was pushing Yuki Tsunoda along practically. There was no need, but yeah. Okie dokes, 10 minutes left on the clock. We've got a couple of drivers now queuing up at the end of the pit lane. Before we saw the drivers waiting for everyone else to go out before them, and now we've got the drivers queuing at the end of the pit lane. Quite strange here, but it is what it is. We'll wait and see what's going to happen. We got the Ferraris lining up there, the Red Bulls as well. Oh yeah, Liam Lawson might be a good option, but of course Liam Lawson is in that Red Bull Academy sort of thing. But admittedly, I would say Liam Lawson is a solid choice. Like being in the Red Bull Academy is always a little bit of a risky business because you know how Red Bull is and AlphaTauri is with their driver decisions. You're very quickly taken. Your seat is taken away from you halfway through the season if you aren't performing. So Liam Lawson could definitely be a good driver for Williams. And of course, by the looks of it, for next season, at least for the start of next season, he won't be driving the AlphaTauri. So, we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, it is quite strange how Red Bull signed Checo because usually they do have their driver academy. But see, the thing was, the driver academy was basically failing them at that point because you'd had 2018 was when Daniel Ricciardo left. 2019, you had Gasly in the car for half of the season, not performing against Max Verstappen whatsoever. Then you had Alex Albon in the car. He was also not performing whatsoever. And then who did they have in the car? I forgot who they even put in the car, to be honest. Yeah, they had Alex Albon in I think 2021 as well, and then they got Sergio Perez for 2022. No, they had Sergio Perez in 2021. Yeah, so in 2020 and 2019, they had Gasly and Albon, and neither of them performed. They didn't have anyone else in the Red Bull Academy ready to step up to that role, so they had to get a driver outside of the academy. It's just the way it goes sometimes. Yeah, Liam Lawson should definitely get a mid-table team, to be honest. Um, we'll wait and see what happens. We will wait and see what happens. Also, guys, thank you everyone for like all of the very active chat today. Oscar, Ambient Healing, Eon Pian. I don't know how to say that. But yeah, very much do appreciate it. I hope you guys are subscribed and are enjoying the content. Okie dokes. So 7 minutes left on the clock. We've got Max Verstappen starting his flying lap. He is purple through the first sector, but of course he's the first driver driving through the first sector, which means that he is, of course, going to be purple. But yeah, we've got the rest of the drivers coming out onto the grid, onto the track as well. Another thing to note that we do have, well, Albon, Russell, Alonso, Ocon, Hamilton, Gasly, and Ricciardo all still sat in the pit lane. So effectively, they're just saying, okay, we're only going to do one run this qualifying session. We haven't got enough tires to do 2 runs. So as you can see, everyone that is currently out on the circuit, they are doing it on a fresh set of tires. I suspect the all of these drivers who are currently in the pits, they will also come out on a fresh set, but they will do their lap time right at the end in the best possible track conditions. But maybe, speaking of track conditions, track temperature is in fact rising. It's not getting cooler. So maybe it's optimal to do your lap a little bit earlier before the track temperature rises up a little bit more. In your opinion on Logan Sargent, what's your opinion in Logan Sargent in Formula One? Do you think he deserves a Williams second seat? Well, see, it's a tricky situation because he's a rookie driver, so he hasn't got experience in Formula One. So you've got to give him some slack. But in the same, like in the same vein that you've got only 20 seats in Formula One, and with a driver consistently in 20th position in every qualifying session, is that, how much hope do they really have? Like, how much quicker are they really going to get? So if I were, the Williams driver management, I would basically tell Logan, like, you've got till the halfway point of next season to show us that you can perform. So you've got the entire winter break to like practice stuff on the simulator, make sure you're racing and steering and all of that technique is perfect. And then if you can't perform and hit a certain amount of points by the end of next season, so your second season of Formula One, through halfway through the season, then you will be replaced. So, but that's what I would do. But of course, I'm not a Williams head management. All right, we've had our first runs of Q2, and we've got Max Verstappen up in first position, a 135.1 from him. We've got Charles Leclerc, a 135.3 from him, so 2 tenths between the two drivers, and then we have Carlos Sainz, a 135.5. So he's only a tenth and a half behind Leclerc. Lando Norris as well, putting in a solid lap there, only half a tenth behind Carlos Sainz. So it looks pretty clear to hit from here that we see that the Red Bull is the fastest car. Ferrari is second fastest, and Ferrari have been a little bit iffy this season. They haven't been the most consistent with their performances, but past couple of weekends they have been able to solidly stay up in the top second fastest car, third fastest car. So Ferrari up now in second as a definite second fastest car, and then we've got the McLarens challenging for the third fastest. Okie dokes. All right, 4 minutes 20 left on the clock, and we've got quite a few drivers now coming out the pit lane. And everyone will be coming out to do their final runs. Okie dokes. What do you expect from Zhou in this race? He was reaching 5th and then kept losing places during pit stops in Bahrain. Or can this be the opposite? I don't know if you're talking about Bahrain or Qatar, because in Qatar we did have a lot of pit stops. But Guan Yu Zhou currently is in eighth position. In fact, outqualified Valtteri Bottas by quite a significant margin. So a good job there from him. But yeah, I mean, maybe he could score some points. The Alfa Romeo was looking pretty quick yesterday. Not so quick this weekend, not so quick today. But maybe with the soft tyres put on, he could have some solid performances. I'm not particularly sure. To be honest, I don't particularly keep that much of an eye on Guan Yu Zhou and his racing. But to be fair, if you know, like we have our attention on Logan Sargent because he's consistently performing badly, but if we don't have our attention on, say, Guan Yu Zhou, then he's definitely just doing a good job. Nothing good, nothing bad, but he's doing what the team expect of him, basically. Right. So we've got all of the drivers now out onto the circuit. We've got Leclerc and Sainz back out of their pit garages. They've put on, I think, a fresh set of... Oh, no, they've got a used set of tyres, but they've put in some more fuel, I think, into the car. Right. So we have now got Max Verstappen starting his flying lap. Then behind him we have Fernando Alonso, who'll be starting his. And then, yeah, just a nice Q4. We've got 2 minutes left on the clock. That should be sufficient for everyone to get out onto the circuit, warm up their tyres in the optimal way, and then set a qualifying lap. Track temperature up now to 38 degrees. And yeah, getting a little bit hotter, and I suspect by the time we get back to qualifying, it'll be as hot as it was yesterday. All right, we've got also George Russell on a hot lap. There is an awful lot of traffic that he's just navigated through and has to still navigate. Hopefully everyone gets out of the way nicely, but he is currently on a pretty quick lap. 2 green sectors from him, and 1 purple mini sector as well. So... Ooh, Max Verstappen spun at turn number 9. Well, I guess that is a lap aborted there for Max. Yeah, spun at turn number 9 and continued. We'll get a replay of that shortly, but Max Verstappen making a mistake there, very rare from him. All right, George Russell crosses the line. He's in 7th position. I'll just get a replay and describe what happened to Max. So here he goes into turn number 9, turns the car to the right, and then flicks the car to the left, and as he just tries to get onto the power, the car just completely goes from underneath him. There is not much he can really do, and yeah, he just gets onto the power and the car just completely snaps away from him. He obviously countersteers and saves the car, gets it into 360, and then continues going in the straight direction. But yeah, very interesting. All right, let's see. Did Alonso get blocked by that a little bit? By the looks of it, he was totally fine, and he comes across the line in 8th position, going 10th quicker than Lance Stroll. Okie doke. So we've got Sergio Perez now. He is he starting a lap, or is he, Sergio Perez now just coming on to end his lap. He does not improve on that lap time. Esteban Ocon, he crosses the line up into 9th position. Lewis Hamilton is the next driver to come across the line. 2 green sectors for him. He's now up into 8th place, half a tenth behind George Russell, his teammate. We've got Pierre Gasly is the next driver. This is his first lap of the session. 14th position right now, up into 7th, half that position. Nicely done there from Pierre Gasly. We've got Alex Albon now in 14th place. He had a very good lap, of course, yesterday in Q1, and he was up in 3rd position. Let's see what he can do now. Coming out of the final corner, and a very smooth exit for him. Maybe exceeded track limits, I'm not particularly sure. But 10th position right now, and he knocks Fernando Alonso out of 10th position into 11th. So we've got Alex Albon currently in 10th place. We've got a couple more drivers yet to come across the line. We've got Oscar Piastri, he pulls into the pits. Daniel Ricciardo, he's got 2 green sectors, and what can he do? Will he be able to make his way through into Q3? Unfortunately not. 11th place for Daniel Ricciardo, and that is bad luck for him. He was 31 milliseconds behind Alex Albon's lap time, but yeah, Albon 31 milliseconds ahead of him, and Albon into Q3 and Daniel Ricciardo has been eliminated. That is how close the margins are today. Just looking at how close the field is, if you go from fourth position all the way down into 11th position, that is 3/10 between those 7 drivers. So extremely close today. And yeah, great to see. Oh, Lance Stroll had a horrible lockup going into turn number 12. Very strange there. The Yeah, Lance Stroll just goes into turn number 12, hits the brakes, and immediately locks them. Like, it is extremely strange. You don't really see that. Usually, you see that maybe in wet conditions. If the drivers have no grip, they hit the brakes and they lock up straight away. But Lance Stroll locks both of his tires, both front left, front right, while he locks the brakes. And he has so much downforce. He's going at 300 kilometers an hour, so the brakes should be totally fine. A little bit interesting. A blue mini sector means that the drivers are coming into the pit lane or coming out of the pit lane. So, yeah. Ricardo comes over the radio, says sorry for another P11. I don't know if that was Ricardo saying it or if it was the engineer, but yeah, the AlphaTauri team not particularly pleased about the 11th position. All right, I'm going to have a quick drink of water. Then we're going to have our final qualifying session, which is going to be 8 minutes long. Not long whatsoever. That would be just enough time to squeeze in 2 runs if the drivers are quick. Yeah. Also, guys, if you are enjoying this stream, then be sure to hit the like button. Definitely does help out the channel and would very much be appreciated. So, yeah, if you're enjoying, then go ahead and like, subscribe, and I will be streaming for the sprint race as well. So, yeah. I will be live in, how long is that going to be? 4 hours? Yeah, 4 hours time now for the sprint race. Okie dokes. All right, let's just get a quick drink of water. Yep, ambient healing. Oscar Piastri, definitely a very good driver. He is up and he's been performing very, very well. Been able to match Lando Norris in his rookie season, going and getting, of course, a win in that sprint race as well, which is, of course, brilliant to see in his, of course, rookie season of Formula One. And he's really adapted to that McLaren team and has fit in very nicely. So I suspect he'll get a long-term contract very, very soon if he hasn't already got one, and he will be a solid component of that McLaren team. You know, they are on the up at the start of the season. They basically had a tractor, and here they are winning sprint races, getting double podiums. So that is a whole lot of development for just one season. So let's see what they can do over the summer, what they can do next season, and where that will put them in the standings. All right. All right. Also, I would just like to point out, so yesterday, the white line was very, very narrow. And today they've just widened it. They've just added a thicker white line so the drivers aren't technically exceeding track limits. A little bit strange, but there you go. So a little bit interesting there. Just exceeding track limit, just extending the track limits because there were quite a lot of deletions yesterday. I'm sure that F1 doesn't particularly want a situation where they have a lot of drivers exceeding track limits and then makes qualifying confusing and difficult. But yeah, it's a little bit complicated. Right, hi, I'm new to F1. What is the age thing about tire age? Yes, the age is how many laps the tires have been used. All right. So we've got 8 minutes for this final session now. Not long to go before the session starts. The drivers will be on the soft tires. So of course the lap times will drop quite significantly, probably down into 134s, and we'll see what happens. Yeah. All right. There have been more incidents. We've had Stroll, Albon, Zhou, Piastri, Ricardo, Norris, and Russell. All of them haven't followed the maximum delta time requirement from race control. So, yeah, it's not been great. That we've had a couple of incidents there, in fact, because of the teams and the drivers not being able to follow that. A little bit strange, but I think the thing is that the drivers they only had 8 minutes and 12 minutes and 10 minutes, because usually our qualifying sessions are 18, 15, and 12 minutes long, and now we've got 10-minute long sessions, 8-minute long sessions. It really compresses everything down, and the teams aren't as used to having everyone so clumped together. They're having to deal with that situation with the traffic. Yeah. Also, look at this. We've got 8 minutes on the clock, and if the drivers don't go out absolutely immediately, they're not going to have time to do two runs. So we are only going to have one run in this final Q3 thing. Um, yeah, only one run. So yeah, everyone's just doing one runs. We're just going to sit around, wait here a little bit till the time drops to the till the time drops down to the 3 minute mark, and then all 10 drivers are going to rush out right next to each other, get in each other's way, trip over each other, and then yeah. What's the cross sign at the Ferrari tires? Um, oh, I think it was just that the Ferrari were on a used set. I'm not exactly sure, to be honest. I haven't noticed that before. Interesting. If I figure it out, then I'll let you know. But I think it was that Ferrari must have got a used set of tires out. Um, I guess we'll figure it out later. It means that they have all four fitted. Um, I don't know how the FIA or this sensor and data information would know if all four tires were fitted. I'm sure most teams have. Oh, okay, you're joking, right? Who is the moderator here? Well, typically we have a pretty chill chat, nothing to moderate really. We have an automatic moderator, but yeah, we have a couple of mods, but nothing. Um, yeah, none of them on the stream today because it's a little bit of an awkward timing for where they are in the world. Who is the extended white line? Question mark. I don't know exactly where on the screen you are talking about the extended white line. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so here we go. 5 minutes to go, and we've got drivers finally coming out of the garage. We got the Red Bulls, and we've got the McLarens and the Alpines. Yeah, so the main reason why I only have one lap is that the soft tires can only do one lap, and they don't want to use two sets of tires, which means that, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so yeah, look at this. Okay, so Gasly's coming out on 3 lap old tires, and he's got a dash next to his soft tires. So yeah, that's what it means. If you are out on a used set of tires, then you will have a dash on your soft set. A little bit of interesting information there. I never really noticed, but Good to know. Good to know. All right, let me know what your guys' predictions are for today's final sprint shootout. We got 3 minutes, 4 minutes left on the clock, and Charles Leclerc 2/10 slower than Max Verstappen on his previous attempt. But of course, now we're on to the soft tires. The temperature's a little bit more like what they were yesterday, and we could see the Ferraris competing once again right up there at the top. Mick Schumacher is currently a reserve driver for the Mercedes. Yep. As Kim Peters says, thank you very much for replying. Yeah. Also, I would like to point out that the top 10 is exactly the same as it was yesterday in qualifying, but the only difference is that we have Alex Albon instead of Esteban Ocon. So it's, very similar indeed, but Alex Albon doing a solid job. Williams into Q3. I mean, give this man a round of applause because he definitely deserves it. Getting a William through into Q3 when your teammate's in 20th position, Alex Albon delivering the goods as always. We have got 2 minutes 40 left on the clock. Max Verstappen now starting his flying lap. And we have got George Russell, who's last in the queue. But let's have a look at this. Max Verstappen is final lap in today's qualifying session. It is the sprint shootout. Here he comes across the line. DRS activated up the hill into turn 1 onto the brakes. Hits that apex very, very nicely. The car doing exactly what Max Verstappen wants. And he's onto the power smoothly within track limits as expected. Makes his way through the first sector now, and oh my god, the amount of load going through those tires, the sparks flying from underneath the car, it is a spectacle to watch. And here he comes now through the turn number 10, turn number 11, onto the back straight. He's going to get a little bit of a toe off George Russell as well, which is going to be very nice indeed. He hopefully isn't going to get too much traffic. We've got drivers behind him starting flying laps. But look at this, Lando Norris quicker than Max Verstappen in the first sector. Wow, Lando Norris is on a roll. We've got Verstappen now. Nice toe that he got there off George Russell as he went down the straight. Hits the brakes now into 13 and 14. Very tricky set of corners, and Verstappen getting a little bit squirmy on the power, but nevertheless, pretty much in control as he guides that car through now. The triple right-hander of 16, 17, 18. Hamilton out the way at turn number 19. Is he going to start his lap and avoid Max Verstappen? Yes, he is. So here comes now Max Verstappen, purple in the middle sector. Lando Norris is slower in the middle sector, but here comes Max Verstappen now out of the final corner. This is for pole position, a 134.5. Absolutely ridiculous pace there from Max Verstappen. We've got George Russell now starting his lap, and we have got Lando Norris finishing his lap. So here comes Lando Norris. He was in second place yesterday, and here he is in second place once again, 1/10 behind Max Verstappen. We've got next is Oscar Piastri. He crosses the line, and he goes 2.5 tenths behind Oscar Piastri, so that is not ideal there. A little bit behind his teammate. We'll see if that puts him in third, or does he end up down in 7th position. We've got Pierre Gasly, next driver to come across the line. 4th position, slowest out of everyone so far, a 135.9, and he made a little bit of a mistake in the third sector, which kind of ruined his lap. We've got Charles Leclerc now, purple middle sector from him. He comes across line 2nd position ahead of Norris, but behind Max Verstappen, unfortunately. And Alex Albon done a solid job in the Williams, and he puts himself ahead of Pierre Gasly into 5th place. We've got Carlos Sainz Carlos Sainz, 2 green sectors from him, nothing purple as of yet. And here he comes out of the final corner into 5th position behind both of the McLarens. We've got Sergio Perez. Can he match Max Verstappen? Can he get anywhere near him? Here he comes out the final corner, and it's 6th position for Sergio Perez, half a second behind Max Verstappen. Verstappen up in 1st, Perez down in 6th. We have Lewis Hamilton now. Wow, what a lap. 3rd position from Lewis Hamilton, jumps both of the McLarens, and he is definitely in 3rd position there, and is only 14 milliseconds behind Charles Leclerc, so he's so close to 2nd. We've got George Russell now. He's coming across line. What can he do? And it's 8th place for George Russell. The gap between the two Mercs, 0.6 of a second. That is the biggest gap we've seen all season long between the two Mercedes. Hamilton really nailed that lap. Hamilton having so much experience around this circuit, getting quite a few poles here as well. So That is to be expected, but 6/10 is absolutely massive. And we've got Max Verstappen on pole position once again. We have the sprint race starting in, 3 hours and 45 minutes now. So I will be streaming in 3.5 hours. I'm going to end this stream rather quickly, and it will take you over to tomorrow's stream. So not tomorrow's stream, the sprint race stream. So just go ahead and press the reminder button and hit the like button for tomorrow's stream as well. That definitely just helps out the channel and helps out the stream. It's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. I hope to see everyone who is in chat today in the chat for the sprint race, which is happening in 3 hours. Obviously. What was I going to say? It's going to happen in 3 hours, but of course it might be a bit of a weird time zone for you. Of course, I think in a couple of countries it is at 3 a.m. But yeah, hope to see you there, and I will see you in 3.5 hours. I'm going to go have my dinner now. All right. Cheers, fellas.